Welcome to Lizards of the Toast, my friends. And this is the first, let's call it inaugural episode of our Pauper section here. So we've been working hard building along the Pauper metagame, tweaking it, and we are going to have this month 5 Pauper decks to show. Maybe 4, hopefully 5. So this is the first one that's completed. The other ones, to be honest, they're completed too, but we're testing them out, and I feel like this one, I played enough, and it is the most powerful deck in the format, so I figured that this should be the first. Not necessarily most powerful, let's call it the most played. So without further ado, let us get into it, friends. It's Mono Blue Terror. Yes, and it is a terror. Let's talk about the small creature base here. Go. And all right, so we have Delver of Secrets. Beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card. If an instant or sorcery card is revealed this way, transform the Delver of Secrets. Let's have a look there. It's an insectile aberration, flying 3/2, and in Pauper, that's pretty powerful. Now, I have to say, if you're getting a little stale on Modern, Pauper is a wonderful format. And at the price the decks are, we sold some of our burn deck and recalibrated it a little bit. And we're able to buy these 5 Pauper decks for the cards we sold from our burn. So, food for thought. And we have 4 Delver of Secrets, Tolarian Terror, from which the name draws of the deck. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each instant and sorcery card in the graveyard, and it has Ward 2, so it's expensive to deal with. 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. Look at that one. It's a little different color. Isn't that interesting? All right, so we'll put those aside and talk about Cryptic Serpent. All right, now this is an older one. Coming from the Amonkhet series, Cryptic Serpent costs 1 less to cast for each instant and sorcery card in the graveyard. And I've heard that it slithers through the senses, constricting consciousness and poisoning perceptions. And if you tip it, it will actually clear your drains. So we have 4 of those. All right, now let's talk about our non-creature spells, which are many, my friends, which are many. All right, there we are. Perfect. So we have Dispel, counter target instant spell. Sure, you could sideboard this, but 9 out of 10 times the decks in Pauper are going to have some kind of instant, so this is good. It's an instant in the graveyard. We have Thought Scour. Target player puts the top 2 cards of our library into the graveyard and draw a card. This always grossed me out. That's very bad. As you inject the Viscous Vita into the brainstem, don't let the spastic moaning bother you. It will soon become music to your ears. Stitcher Geralf. We don't like Stitcher Geralf very much around here at the Lizard house. He's gross. In fact, Giza and Geralf are very gross. And we don't care too much about the lore and all that, being a Modern player for the main part. We don't care about the lore, but it's just, I won't get into it. I digress. Giza and Geralf are gross. I'll leave it at that. Target player puts the top cards of the draw, so draw a card. We fill in our graveyard with some instants. All right. We have Brainstorm. Now, this is important, because you gotta use the brain. You know what I mean? Draw 3 cards, put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. So, 2 cards from your hand. So what that can do, if we have played one of our wonderful Delvers, okay, we can play that Delver and we can rig the top of our library to trigger the Delver. So, very good. Brainstorm's nice. 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. Of course it's 4. Now, just like Brainstorm, Mental Note is going to be 4 of a kind. Now, unfortunately, in Pauper, this is a little bit of an expensive card. It's about $6 for good copies of it. You know, you could probably pick up a playset for like 12. That's pretty much what I got this for. So, put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard, draw a card. So, Mental Note, and look at that. I love the way that looks. That's very luxurious. So put the top 2 cards of the library into the graveyard and draw a card. 2 more of those. So play set of Mental Note, and in 3 we have Force Spike. Target spell is countered unless its caster spends an additional mana. It's an instant. Hold it in your hand. Wait until you have a vulnerable time for your opponent, and then send it in. 1, 2, 3. Pretty much never sideboard that card. Alright, we have a counter spell. Counter target spell. Pretty simple. It was probably a lousy spell in the first place, said Urtai, Wizard Adept. Not so adept, unfortunately. 4 of these as well. This is like seeing no play in Modern anymore. Does anybody notice that? None. What can you say? Sleep of the Dead. Tap target creature. It doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. And 2 and a blue, you can exile 3 cards from the graveyard. We don't want to do that usually. But cast it out of there for escape. So there's 1, there's 2. So here is a card that some people play 3 of, but we play 4 because we have a Delver deck. Now, people that play a 3 set of these are generally playing the Mystic version. And the Mystic is I want to say it's like a 4 mana. It's 3 and a blue, and it creates a bird token when you cast a instant or sorcery. Too slow for us. So, ponder, you look at the top 3 cards of your library, put them back in any order. You may shuffle your library, draw a card. So not only does that let us put things back, if it's absolutely horrendous and it's not going to help our Delver, we can shuffle the library and draw a card and get like a total random card. So I like having 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. Now, some people run 2 of these. I like just 1. So, this spell costs 1 less to cast for each card you've drawn this turn. The owner of target non-land permanent puts it into their library second from the top or bottom. So I think 1 of these is good because if for some reason you have a couple in your hand and you're not drawing, that's bad. But we should always be drawing, but we've tested it. We like that. Now, another card that has kind of risen in price. We have a Lorien Revealed here. Draw 3 cards, Island Cycle 1. Discard this card. Search your library for an Island card. And guess what? Island is. That's why they call it that. Islands are Island. So look at that. Oh, it's got a puppy hair in it. Isn't that nice? Seriously, I wasn't being sarcastic. We don't do sarcasm here. It's nice. I love puppies. I love puppies. Puppies. All right. So draw 3 cards. That island cycling is pretty much where we want to be on this. And it's going to guarantee us it's a fetch land for our islands. You know, honestly, I think this card is sweet as like a weird fetch land in many ways. Like I can see why it commands a little higher price in the format because it's like a cycle fetch land. Puts it in your hand. So all of those, we have 2 of the same color. Yeah, this one's off. Anyways, very nice. Whoa, very slippery. So that's that, and let's talk about mana base. 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm just kidding, it's 16. So they're pretty cool to look at. Very nice. Oh, look at this. Now let's talk about our sideboard, and then we're going to talk about our maybe board. So sideboard, we're having trouble. If we're having trouble with like burn type spells, if we feel like, oh, we're getting countered ourselves, counter target non-creature spell with a spell pierce, and you're going to be happy. We have 1 at 2. Now here's where it gets interesting. Red decks are all the rage in my neck of the woods. So Hydroblast. We have a play set of these. Counter target spell if it is red. Destroy target permanent if it is red. So remember when I said we sideboard some things? We sideboard 7 things for Hydroblast. Play set. Blue Elemental Blast. 1, 2, 3. Now, I know that's a lot, but we use them. You see there's 3 of these. I didn't add the 4th and make it a nice even number because that's a little bit much. Now, could you drop a couple of those? You could. And I will show you what you could put instead of those. Maybe you don't have a lot of red decks in your neck of the woods, friends. So, we have a null. Counter target artifact or enchantment spell. 1, 2, 3. All right. So, again, you could have 4, but then that wouldn't leave room for our gut shot, would it? Which deals 1 damage to target creature or player. 1, 2, 3. Could run 4. We like 3. So we have 3 of those, right? Just a review. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Hydroblasts. So it's a pretty simple sideboard here. So we have our Spell Pierce. Just to review, Spell Pierce can find its way into the deck very commonly. We have a Null, similarly, Gut Shot, very good to go into the deck. If it's a red deck, we are going to pull a lot and put in the Hydroblasts and the Blue Elemental Blasts. And I love that artwork. She is beautiful. Look at that beautiful person there. Oh my goodness. I love that. Have you guys, anybody familiar with the Pacific Islands and their traditional jewelry and stuff? That is very much what that looks like. It's made from shells, quite beautiful. But I digress. So, sideboard there. Let's talk maybe board. What are we at here? 10 minutes. Look at us. Not only is Pauper a more efficiently priced, it's more efficiently timed. These decks are simpler. I'll show you guys. We'll do some gold fishing with this later, maybe, just to show you how it works and how we can get the big guy out quick. So, Boomerang, return target permanent to owner's hand. It's good. It's like Counterspell in a way. If you're doing some kind of thing where it's advantageous for you to return something of your own, Boomerang would be your Huckleberry. So a couple of those wouldn't hurt in your sideboard if it's unique to what you do. Now, this one, I could almost like say I'd like to put a couple of these in the deck. I think about it, I'm like, Aqueous Form, enchant creature. Enchanted creature can't be blocked. So that gives us an unblockable Serpent, which is even better than Trample. So the Serpent will get through. I think 2 of these could make their way into a deck, and even my deck, because Aqueous Form is a good card. There's one of them there, as you see. The other one's around somewhere. Another Sleep of the Dead wouldn't hurt for large artifact creatures that have been cast with affinity cost, allowing, you know, some kind of whatnot. Another Dispel, depending on your area meta. Piracy Charm, target creature gains Island Walk until end of turn. If target creature gets +2, -1 until end of turn, a target player discards a card. Now this one, how I had tested this was like that. I would use these 2. I had 2 Piracy Charms and 2 Aqueous Forms, and these in tandem would make a very big snake that would often end the game. Our biggest learning curve to this format has honestly, it has really been the fact that our opponent's not stinging themselves with fetch lands, and we're not stinging ourselves with fetch lands and shock lands. So it makes the game go a little further. And we're like, oh, the decks aren't necessarily slower. Maybe they're a little slower. They're different, but it's because we're not pinging each other with our fetches and shocks. But deep analysis, target player draws 2 cards, but we always wanted to dunk that in the graveyard and flash it back. Now, this would be good. You remember that card I had a 1 of in there, the Deem Inferior? So run 2 of these, right? And then run a few Deem Inferiors, and that's kind of that shell you want to go into if that's what's good for you in your area. But for me here, I just found that this was the most efficient right now. And it might change a little bit. We never know. We never know. But right now, we're feeling real good about this. And this sideboard is just making red opponents cringe. Or maybe it's making red opponents sad and it's making us cringe at our own making of the sadness of the red opponent. So thank you again for joining me, and we're going to stay on track here, and we are going to have this Pauper thing is going to be really good, and I hope you guys all enjoy it. So you will find a deck list in the description. Thank you.